Window to the world.
No, are we going to
Yes,
all?
yes, 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 yes. Which would probably be live right now. Hold on. Okay, we are live.
Good morning, episode number
75. You may want to go onto your Facebook and see what we're talking about today.
that would be a challenge for me to see what we're talking about.
All right, so let's wait till a couple people come on here, but 75, the Dave and Dave show. Here we are yet again. Still going, Pop. Still going.
And I'm not yet 75, so it's a good thing.
No, I mean, you can't even say my age anymore. So here's what I want to talk about today. So we're going to do market update, and we're going to give everyone a taste of what we do on Broker Roundtable and Nest Connect. But one of my mentors, Garrett, has been talking about a Declaration of Independence, right, with the 4th of July coming. And he was using it as a metaphor for your own life, like declaring independence, saying, you know what, this isn't good enough, right? When we said, basically, screw you to England and oppression and taxation without representation, and went out and did our own thing. And it got me thinking about a Realtor Declaration of Independence. And the conversation we've been having about lately, how agents taking control of their business. That makes sense?
I've always been that guy.
And it's such like, it's very synergistic because agents are actually called independent contractors and they're fiercely independent. Yet, the irony of all ironies, they become very institutionalized at big corporate conglomerates, right? And they're so willing to unintentionally be short-sighted about their business because they are a business, and I don't think they realize how important decisions they make are. And here I am talking to myself again as my father runs to the bathroom, most likely. So
No, I'm making a cup of coffee and I could hear you, everything you're saying.
because you didn't have all the time in the world to deal with this prior to this conversation. I know we had an interview.
It's additional coffee.
Unbelievable. So I started thinking about it. Now I've done a video and we've talked about this, and this is great also for entrepreneurs and for people and just people in life, how investing in yourself is so important. It's such a long-term game compared to a short-term game where you take the quick and easy route, the quick high, and sacrifice the long game. So when we talk about independence, here we go again, and he's gone. Number one would be that take back control of your business. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean by is if you're a realtor, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a CEO for a company, if you're a manager, if you're a husband, if you're a wife, you need to realize that the number one asset in your life is yourself. And it's not supposed to be a selfish thing. It's the thought process of the healthier you are, the more intelligent you are, the better you are producing. What are you doing?
I'm looking at you. The coffee is brewing.
The better you show up for yourself, the more you'll be able to show up for everybody else. That is the whole theory. But the irony of the theory is it's counterintuitive to most people. People are inherently good and they want to give, which is the right answer. But if you don't fill up your bucket first, it's going to be very difficult to continue to give, because then you're just going to be running on fumes. So if you continue filling your bucket first, then you'll be able to give. So what am I getting at? How does this relate to real estate? This is the game, guys. My father being 40 something years, 42 years in this business, and me almost 20. We've made every mistake known to man. We've watched every single agent make a mistake. And we've seen agents give away their power, co-op their brand in so many ways. So when I say take power and make a declaration of independence, it's not to say forget your brokerage. It's not to say forget your brokerage. It's to say take control of your journey.
Bye, girls.
Take control of your journey. And by taking control of your journey means be somewhere that you're able to empower yourself. Now, what are some of the ways, Pops, that we've learned from either doing it ourselves or from other people of we've given away our power, or people give away their power, their independence?
I think signing a contract with a broker without looking at it and realizing what you're giving away is the first step of giving away your power. So I signed a contract with a company many years ago here, and I didn't read it because the broker was, quote, my friend.
Mhm.
And what I found that if they want to fire you in a 100% company, they could take 50% of all your transactions. I gave away my power.
Excellent example. That wasn't even on my short list. Excellent example. Especially when that brokerage, and this is timely, whereas I will not talk badly about another company or even put them on blast, but this is timely because some companies are having this experience right now.
Exactly.
Is people don't remember this, and we won't even, they're no longer in business, so it's not like we'd be going after them. But I remember the days when you had you had like 70 grand in escrow at that company. And they were commingling. This is a brokerage's worst nightmare, commingling the commission account and the operating account. And they would write checks and not have enough money in the bank. So this was what, 2002? 1, right? And I remember I had my Jeep and we had to drive to the Sunset office, and you would get your checks, your physical checks, and I would literally have the Jeep running in position to go, and you would jump in and we go right to the bank, and you would cash it. Like they'd be like,
Remember?
sir, you want this in cash?
45 grand, remember? 45,000 in
And you're like,
cash.
I got that big, back when I had muscles, you were like, I got that guy in a car.
Right.
And the reason why you did that was because you were so fearful that you were going to be one of the ones that the check bounced, and then you would have to wait till the next time that but it's not just that. So the reason why we tell that story is, even though you had every right to leave because you were scared about your money, they still could have taken your money when you left.
Yes, 50%, because I didn't take control and take power of reading the contract. I just trusted. And a lot of brokerages won't give you a copy. They'll say, oh, look at it here, or sign here, which is why at our company, we send them home with a copy of the contract. Because after what happened to us, we realized the bad mistakes they can make.
Yeah, read your contract, guys. Like we hired like 15 agents. This is crazy. We're not even looking for a growth phase. We cap out at 500, but we hired 15 agents last month. We're probably going to hire 20 or 25 this month. It's because we're seeing a lot of companies starting to crack under pressure a little bit. So read your contract. I just noticed something behind me that I don't want people to see, especially my wife, because I got my double dark chocolate Milanos. I ordered, as usual, me and Amazon, I ordered a package and 3 came. I got to pay more attention. Other ways that
Oh, what a terrible mistake. Send them here, drop them off.
So the other way is these are simple, easy ones. Like these are mistakes that people think like, oh, I'm getting all of these beautiful tools and these things, and I'm going to take everything and I'm going to plug in to my company, and they don't realize what's happening. So one is email, and you were a general manager for a company, and you had that company email. So you're an employee. You had no choice. And after leaving that company, I mean, wasn't it 3 or 4 years even after people were like, I emailed you, and
I would say, what email? Did you use my email? And they said, no, I used your company. And they were open, they were read, some even responded to, and it was not me. So taking control when we open this company, it's never going to be Joe Smith at urbanest.com. It's going to be Joe Smith at gmail.com, and he will own that. Take control, take your power, be independent. Do not use their website, their email, or anything that doesn't belong to you. Because what it means by law is they have the right to read everything that comes to you, whether it's personal or business. They could read every single thing that comes to you.
and
So
even better, I mean, even better is to get a domain of your name and be dave@davetina.com. And then your email is your domain. And then your website is Dave Tina Sells Las Vegas or whatever.com. And you're branding yourself, which is what you want to do. Because ultimately, no matter how great the company, us included, is supporting you, the majority of the reason why your clients are using you is you.
is you.
And any brokerage that tells you differently is a liar. It's you. You could leverage the brokerage, leverage Dave and Dave, but at the end of the day, it's the relationship that you have with the client. Everyone tells the stories all the time, and a lot of people who work for these big names think that they're giving away portions of their commission for that name. And it takes them a couple of years to realize they're like, they don't care what sign is in the front yard, they want me. So that's super important that you know that. And that's the secret a lot of owners and brokerages aren't willing to have conversations about because they feel like it devalues them. Whereas you and I feel like it empowers them. Like we are so confident in our position and what we bring to the table that we want you to brand yourself. We want you to have freedom and have confidence and not feel like you need to rely. Because if we do on us, we do our job right, then someday you could work for any company and be successful. It isn't about us. It's about you. So along the lines of that, Pops, the CRM, right? Your database controlled by someone else,
Yep.
not smart. And then take control. So Dad and I were on an interview this morning, and we were talking about like lead gen sites. Be careful with lead gen sites. Make sure it's only 20, 30% of your business max because you don't control that site. Even if you do Facebook leads, Google leads, Zillow leads, Realtor.com leads, pay-per-click leads, Curator, KV Core, so many, you know all the ones, Boomtown Sync. All they have to do is sell out, merge, go out of business, change their model. And if you're not having 70 to 80% of your business coming from your own personal marketing and your own sphere of influence, you are reliant upon that way of getting business. So take control. It is definitely the harder path, but take control. So that's a declaration of independence, I believe, that agents need to step up and be like, this is about me and how can you help me? I always say it's a two-way interview when we interview people, Pop, because
Yep.
they're interviewing us and we're interviewing them. And as a brokerage, we've taken control. We don't take anybody like most brokerages. We don't prostitute ourselves out and say anybody, any breathing body in anywhere. We have certain standards and levels and things that we're not willing to accept as well. So it's when both people are living inside of power and confidence and abundance, it's a better relationship. So what do you think about Declaration of Independence?
Me?
You like to take the power back?
I don't let the power go anymore. I told you when I did, and that losing that money. And from that point on, as a matter of fact, the next company I went to said, why are you being so crazy about the contract? Why don't you just sign? I said, I will never just sign in anything in my life again. Because the thought at that time I had 75,000 in escrow. And if I was complaining that the 45 bounced, the broker said, well, I could take 37.5.
And
Whose
fire you right
fault? Right. Whose fault was that? Mine, Dumbo, for not reading your contract. So I took control. I would not use any company email. I refused. I would not use their website. I would not give up anything that gave up my independence as a agent in this business.
We had a great conversation in Nest Connect. You know, everybody seems like we were one of the first ones to do it. It seems like everyone has a private Facebook page now. And they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But what I love about ours is, and I hope it starts with you and me, but is there such a level of like honesty and vulnerability that people, I believe they feel that they are in a safe space. They got the permission to like have conversations. So for instance, one of our agents, and I'm not mentioning any names, but one of our agents said the other night, like, oh, I called another agent at 7:30 to set up a showing for the next day, and the agent berated me. And then, like, it's such a fun place and safe place. Like, we went through, we all commented like that.
We were laughing.
Like, are you kidding me? And I was like, I get calls at 7 a.m. and at 9 p.m. It's a 24/7 business. You don't have to answer your phone, but you definitely have to respond, right? Like if you're offended by a 720 call in real estate, you're in the wrong business, right? But
like I said, if that call would have been from a buyer or I want to list the home, the agent would have been, oh, thank you.
What can I do? I'll meet you in 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But because she was making an appointment, they got annoyed.
Exactly. But the whole point that I wanted to kind of get into was the fact that people didn't have to measure their words. First of all, the person who wrote the post felt comfortable enough to be like, am I missing something? Did I do something wrong? That's a vulnerable question right off the bat, which is awesome. Then second, we got real answers from all of us, right? And it was this feeling of like, we're in this together, and there's this level of truth and honesty that makes such a difference. And that is so important. And I don't know what the hell I was talking about now. So,
and we were all laughing. Everyone's comment had a lot of comedy to it because of the situation. So it was enjoyable.
yeah. So,
and as far as taking control, a lot of answers were turn off your phone to business at 7. If that's the right. I know.
So then I asked the question because I'm not beyond it. And I said, listen, for those of you who worked at company X, what was it like to leave the company? Because we have someone coming from that company, and that person wants to make sure they're not going to get beat up on the way out, right? And then the posts were, and this is like, first of all, I have confidence enough to talk about another company, right? They can say wonderful things about that company, for all I know, inside of an Urban Nest thread, right? And some of the posts were like, well, this broker at that company was cool, and they took care of me, which was awesome. Great. Some of the posts were, close all your deals before you leave. They're going to screw you. You know what I mean? But even then, we were able to have an honest conversation about it. But here's the reality. We shouldn't even have to have that conversation. It shouldn't even be a conversation. And Pops, I don't mind giving them the secret. You want to give every other brokerage owner the secret right now?
Go ahead. I know the secret.
Go for it. Go tell them the secret.
It's pretty simple. if you're agent-centric broker owners, like Dave and I are, this is the secret. Treat them the way you want to be treated. Treat them the way, if you were leaving the company, you'd want to know. So our policy is, if you leave, take your listings with you. What's ever in escrow, if you're getting 100% plus our 495 transaction fee, that's all you owe. We don't say, oh, you got to use compliance, you got to use the transaction coordinator. We change nothing. And the reason that's the secret is, A, we don't alienate them when they come back, which half of them do. B, or maybe this is A, it's the right thing to do. Do the right thing. And then C, if the industry standards followed and everyone did what we do, there would be no hesitation to leave a company when you felt it wasn't right. I can't tell you how many agents say, I can't do this because I'm stuck in the brokerage contract. When you use the word stuck in the brokerage contract, do you really have independence that Dave's talking about? You don't. You don't. And the worst part about it is, for the agents that went to these companies and were around a while and smart, they write little captions on the bottom of their contract. This agent could take all their listings. This agent's commission will remain the same, even if they leave. You're writing stuff like that in there, you know you're in trouble in the brokerage you're at. You do not have a declaration of independence.
And the irony of the whole thing is, you got an agent who's thinking about leaving. They're already distraught about the big change they have to make. And then you treat them like garbage and penalize them on the way out. You just basically confirmed who you are to them. And their chances of ever coming back are zero. You know, right now, I think 4 or 5 people that we've hired in the last month are people that are coming back. How does this apply to you if you're in real estate? If it doesn't work out with a client, or someone doesn't list with you, don't burn the bridge, because they could do a 3-month listing, it cannot work out. And then they're going to come back to you hat in hand, and you're going to have an even better relationship, because they're going to be like, I'm so sorry. But don't make it so weird for them that not only do they not list with you again, or the first time, they don't list with you again. Like, no one's perfect. Give them a soft landing. And my father and I, like, yeah, we have a heart to heart with him. We say, why are you leaving? What's going on? And a lot of situations, it just makes sense. And some of them, we know, like, we're sitting there and we're like, we could talk them out of it right now. And I know he gets crazy at me when I say this, but I say, I think you need to go. I think you need to go and try it out just to see, because I don't want you wondering what it's like. And this way, if you come back, great. I mean, this also works in relationships too. If you hold on too tight, they're going to run. But if you're confident, like, hey, you got to go, you got to go, then they're going to want to stay. Am I wrong? Right? I mean,
I've said it to you as your father. You got to go, you got to go.
you did. And as much as, I mean, you got to stand your ground. If you just need to do that in the rest of your life, you'll be great. If you apply it to me. So important to know that you have a voice and you have independence, even if you're a brand new agent. You know, it's such a confidence issue with agents, with people, that you can be like, no, you know, I want to change this, I want to do this. So reach contracts, make sure you, if you are going to use tools from a company, that you have your own Excel spreadsheet or database. You know, be smart. So that's definitely step 1 of our conversation, which goes into step 2 of giving yourself permission to be an agent, a person, a friend, or a brokerage that's for the few, not the many. Now, what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is, if you're in abundance, you don't have to say yes to everything. You can, like, for instance, I'm going to give you a situation that's happening right now. Lots of companies are dealing with issues. And we've gotten probably already 4 or 5 phone calls, either from agents at companies or companies themselves, along the lines of, because of the coronavirus, and if it comes back or whatever, we didn't have enough. We're going to have to bail, right? And a lot of agencies want us to take over their whole company and all their bills. And as tempting it is for my father and I to play the more is better game, right? Which I have at number 5, the lie of more. The reality is, if you have 100 agents, we probably are only interested in 15 of them. And that is something to be so committed to because of diminishing returns and knowing who you are. And when you do real estate or anything, like, I rather have 4 great friends, ride or die, than 40 acquaintances that wouldn't show up to my funeral. So I think for the few, not the many, is an important thing of taking control of your business rather than saying, I'm going to work everywhere. I'll do business brokerage. I'll do property management. I'll do commercial. I could do manufactured home. I work in Pahrump. I work in Mount Charleston. That is not the answer. So what's your take on that, Dad? For the few, not the many.
I think for the few, not the many, could be in a lot of things. For instance, a lot of people now are, I need to do a team. I need to build a team. And they build a team. And then what happens is they have 2, the team is success, buyer's agent. They want to go to 5 or 6. And now what happens? They got too many and they lost a few. So now your business starts decreasing because you're becoming a mini broker and that you're running a business instead of selling houses. So one of my interpretations for the few and not the many is make sure if you do this, that you don't lose yourself and your buyer's agent in this mega team. And then you're not even making maybe as much money because you lost all your income. So be careful as that independent contractor or that person you are, not to lose who you are in the process.
Well, it's like am I cutting out or am I good?
You good now?
All right. I have this saying, don't go to China to get to Mexico.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, a lot of people take the long road to get to somewhere that they just have to go through San Diego to get to. And what I see, you couldn't have, I didn't know you're going to go there with this. And this is why I love you must have got good coffee in you. It got you like in today. I like it. Like, you're here. Beautiful.
And you were complaining when I got
I
up.
was, you know why? Because we had an interview. So I think that revved you up. So your point is valid. Like, why have 5 people on a team to see the same results you would get with 2 or 3? That makes no sense whatsoever. That's working harder, not smarter, which we all talk about. But what happens is a lot of companies, especially one in particular, loves playing that build a team game because it benefits the company. More cap money, more recruiting. Whereas when I do my personal coaching to our teams here, it usually is, how do we need to make our team smaller? Because you have too much dead weight, right?
Mhm.
Or it's, how do we raise the bar on your team and light a fire so that we can see who's willing to perform and who's going to deselect themselves, right? So I love that concept because most of the time, people get so fixated and they think they have to do a team because it just sounds better.
My team.
Group.
And Dave, I'm sure a lot of people watching are laughing at our point because it takes a while before you find your ground. And I know one of the people on there, and she had a team of like 7 or 8 and an assistant, and was losing herself, her own business. And when she narrowed that team down to an assistant and maybe 3 or 2, it was more successful, more efficient, working less, making more income. So because that was my interpretation.
So from higher end business coaching, there's a program called EOS. It's entrepreneurial operating system, and they have this concept of that the whole team is on a bus, and the bus needs to know where it's going. So first, you really need to know what your goal is, but then it's important to know that to get everyone on the bus in the right seats, because what happens is you just keep growing your staff and growing your team, not because you need more people, because people are on the wrong seat on the bus. So I think the teams that are successful, they define the seats on the bus very clearly, and then they get the right people in that seat, rather than trying to make a position fit the mold of the person. That's where you get in trouble. So, our mantra in everything is quality over quantity. It definitely applies to teams, right? So it isn't about, let me just get as many people under me, try to create as many leads as possible, and however much business I can get out of that, beautiful, great. That's not a commitment to a level of service. That's just a machine. That's not what it's about. Azim, that's the Good to Great principle, best book I've ever read regarding business. Azim, I just started it. Believe it or not, I've never read the book, and I just started it, and I am like, I got a pencil and I am making notes, so I'm going to continue on. You were the one who actually referred me to the book, so thank you. Okay, we've belabored for the few, not the many. Listen, so many people tell my father and I that we don't talk about the company enough. So I'm going to show you what it means to us. We have capped our company at 500 agents. Even for us, we were able to say, okay, this is how we hit our goals. This is how we keep it personalized. This is how we keep it customized. This is how we still enjoy what we do. This is how we hit our purpose and meaning, which is to see agents grow. So that for the few, for the many, or for the few, not the many, that 500 was huge for us. And when we hit it, and we may hit it this year, Pops. I mean,
I know.
it's possible, which is, I mean, this is another aside, but I really believe we need to talk about that. It's so tempting to get caught up in the sexy and the showy. And so many people can thrive when it's in summer. But who can thrive during winter? I was thinking, I'm not a big cyclist, but I've watched enough cycling to know, like, who can endure the mountains? Like when you're a cyclist, like anyone can like try to gain ground when they're going, but who can who has the biggest quads in the cycling game? Like who can gain ground going uphill? And that's what I'm seeing with us, which is so interesting because last year we didn't have a year of growth because we decided to commit to this 500 and change our thing. But all the work we've put in for the last 18 months, now as we're cycling uphill, that's where we're gaining ground and growing. So how does that even apply as an aside? You could hit that rock 100 times and feel like it's not going to budge. And then that 101st time you hit it and it splits right open. So anyway, back to the original point. We're going to hit 500. And what happens then, Pops?
Then it's closed. You have to wait for someone to leave to get in.
And then it just becomes an evolving. We'll still grow because people inevitably get out of the business, they retire, they stop. But now it becomes more fluid. And now we're able to become a better company, not by growth of agents, but by growth of production. And this applies to you realtors the same way. Your answer isn't bigger team, more transactions every year. Sometimes you have to have a year of shift and commit to doing higher end business, getting more per transaction, getting smarter money, spending less on your leads so that your margins grow. Growth is different in a lot of ways. You were really good at this, Pops. You were a natural at this.
What?
But did you realize that you were doing this the entire time?
No.
I mean, you got to a point where you were doing that same 40 to 50 transactions, right? But your average sale went from 250 to 350 to 450. And at one point, I think your average sale was like $650,000 house,
Life was great.
but you worked the same amount.
Yes. And it goes on to your next point.
Leave them better than you found them,
Hmm.
which we were just in I bring this up. I tell the story all the time. I've done so many speeches from my father, where he was the president of the local association. He was president of the state association. Now he's the regional vice president of 6 states. And every time, or when I have to do an article for him or whatever, or I'm writing him a card because I love writing nice things. My father, your life can be defined by that statement. Leave them better than you found them. Leave the situation better than you found it. And I think that's like a life lesson. Like if you just committed to that number 3, you win. Everybody. So expound upon that.
So the funny part about that, the easiest way to define it in everyone's real estate mind, I didn't even have a website. And clients, buyers, sellers would be calling me, referring me, their family, their friends, and everyone would say to me, Dave, why are they calling you? And I said, because I never abandoned them. They called me, Dave, I need a doctor. You're here. Give me a doctor's name. Dave, who's a good painter? Dave, I have a problem with my house. How could I fix it? I never abandoned them. I always went back and tried to do the best I could. So leaving them better, meaning that I never quit. I always kept the relationships, and those relationships made more relationships. And I gave them everything I possibly could of me. And a lot of them became friends, which a lot of agents, their clients become friends. But I always gave not 100%, 1,000% to do the right thing, not just about money, but do the right thing.
People overcomplicate things, me being like number 1. But, I was going to write a book called Just Give a Shit, but it would probably sell better with the curse in there. But the book really could be leave them better than you found them, because when you care and you don't fake it, when it's actually real, that's how you cut through all the noise. That's how you cut through all the marketing and all the offers and everything like that. People just want to connect. They want to feel noticed. They want to feel heard. And if they have that relationship with you, we talk about it all the time. It's kind of like New Yorkers, like they got a guy, right? When a New Yorker says, I got a guy, it means that I got someone you can trust who's going to take care of you. And that's really what you want. And then, you don't realize is that referral is only as good as the person referring it. Does that make sense?
True.
So if they trust you or me, then our referral is stronger than the guy next to us because of the way he lives his life or she lives her life. Does that make sense?
And a funny story about that, in one of my companies I worked, I had a guy that was a Mike Ferry guy, and he would drink his juice and run around the office and get ready to stand on 3 hours of cold calling. And then we go to the award dinner and he goes, Dave, something's wrong. Your office is next to mine. I never hear cold calling, and you made more money. You made more transactions than I did. Well, he made the sale, never kept a relationship, never helped afterwards. So he got 0 repeat business. Mine was all repeat business. So leaving them better brings them back to you, and also creates a great feeling in your heart that you did the right thing.
And that's not to say that, I'm not even being diplomatic here. I'm not to say that online leads and Mike Ferry, like cold calling, is bad. It's bad if you don't put them into your circle, right? Then what's the
Right.
point of doing all the work on the cold calls? First of all, I would make them warm calls. There's a way to do that. But even on online leads, like, fine, make that 20% of your business to 30% of your business. But if you commit so much to that one thing, the minute you turn that system off, the game ends. And it's a
Mm.
shame. You know, even with Angie, like, she was on a team with a person who was so, before we got together, where it was so about the next transaction. And I would say to Angela, like, where is all your repeat business? And she's like, we don't have it. Like, it's all about the next one through. And I was like, man, that's just so much extra work. You know, we have all these agents. And how much do we incentivize our agents to recruit?
0.
Zero. And yet I take the Pepsi challenge today. Call any one of our agents and ask them what they think of the company. I don't know what they're going to say, but I'm pretty sure they're going to say Dave and Dave are honest, knowledgeable, experts, and they take care of us and they care about us. I'd take that Pepsi challenge. Would you?
We get it every day with the new people coming. They call them up and they say, what do you think about Urban Nest? And one of the reasons they could say that, when I worked in a franchise company that couldn't get out, everyone was getting a cup of coffee in the kitchen saying, how am I going to get out of here? I'll lose all my listings. I'll lose all my sales will go down to 50%. The reason everyone would answer that way in our company is because they're not trapped. They're free to go tomorrow with all the well wishes. So again, to do the right thing, to do the learning what it means to do it, that's the beauty of our company.
And again, let's take it down to the next relationship. And the reason why we talk about this is because the whole goal is the way we run our brokerage for our agents. It should be the model of the way agents run their business for their clients. It's a synergistic approach, right? So if you're going to treat, when we treat our agents that way, people treat their clients that way. If you leave your clients better than you found them, then they do all the work for you, and it's beautiful. And then they feel good about doing it. It's so important. And I lost my train of thought, but let's continue on. I got a lot going on here. Yeah, I don't know what to do with you, Pops, because you're in today.
Uh-huh.
It's awesome. It's really nice. All right, so let's talk about personal touch and a customized approach. And all of these things they kind of bleed into each other. So when you have control of your business, when you're serving an ideal client, when you're serving the few and not the many, when you're leaving them better than you found them, you don't have to have a one size fits all approach. You can have a different relationship with the people. This is the concept of, I'm a teacher and I have 25 kids in my class, or I have 12. The one with 25 has to teach it just one way because they can't customize and bring it all the way down to the person. Same thing with your clients. Some of your clients are going to want you to be an engineer, like, right?
Yep.
Where,
Give me the square footage. Is the wall perfectly straight? Give me the facts, because that's all I want to deal with.
and some are going to want you to make the decision for them. They're going to be all emotional. They're going to be all over the place, right? Like, I want to make sure I get my pink carpet. So I have a degree in education, and there are multiple ways to teach. Some people are visual learners. Some people are kinesthetic learners, like they like to touch. There's different types, and that's the same way with clients. It's the same way with agents. Everyone learns differently. So when you're committed to serving less. Listen, it's the Jerry Maguire, right? It's the memo, less clients, more care. One of my favorite movies of the whole. That's the personal touch, customized approach. And this is something that's super important in today's day and age.
Can I give you my take on that, Dave?
Please.
So when I was selling, sold a lot of houses. People all other agents would say, "What do you give them as a gift?" Well, and when I bought knives because I could brand them, or I did this. You know what I would do? I would buy them things that, like, if one person loved wine, I'd buy them wine. If people were pet fanatics, you buy them pet products, personalized, to show that you care, and B, it shows that you were paying attention rather than just getting a gift that you're comfortable with. I wanted to make it personal. Some of them like to go to dinner, so I took them out to dinner for their gift.
You know what's crazy though, Pops? See, I remember.
Mhm.
You remind me, as I eat a cookie, you remind me of one of my trainers where you pay a shit ton of money to be inside of this training, right?
Mhm.
You're already giving the guy thousands of dollars. And you know what? Even after that, they end up buying him gifts. You were that guy. I remember, like, you weren't like, oh, I'm going to give them like a fancy gift card. Like,
No.
finish the deal and people would be like, I want to thank you.
Yes, they used to buy me gifts.
They used to buy you gifts. I was
Yes.
like, it's insane. But when you bring that level of service, even at the end of the year when our agents, they go above and beyond and they bring in like gift cards, and I'm like, why are you buying us stuff? Like, you already are, an
Our
agent
client,
here.
yeah.
Like that's, I think, the true testament of how that game is, not even game, how the life is played.
Can you
So
imagine when I had my 60th birthday party, how he's laughing at me. That was about 2 years ago. How could you eat cookies on the screen? You make fun of me with I'm jealous. Our niece,
I have like nobody's business right now.
our great niece, said, "What would you name the dog of the last food that you were eating?" on Facebook yesterday. My illustrious son said Milano because he was eating a Milano. And I had 3 boxes by mistake. And I said Twizzler because I was sticking a red Twizzler in my mouth at the time. So you could see that the Tina family definitely likes sugar, but
Food oriented. Even Lola with her Play-Doh made a burger.
yes.
Food oriented. But somebody put where the fries. So I said, Lola, we're gonna make fries? She goes, yes, I'm gonna make fries. I go, all right. So when you're thinking about, like, let's just wrap this up with a bow. When you're thinking about independence this weekend, because I don't let a holiday go by without somehow taking the gift of the lesson out and applying it to multiple areas of my life. That's the way my brain thinks. In this case, one of my mentors, Garrett, did it for me. But think about the declaration you can make. When you make a declaration, not enough people make declarations anymore. And if they do, they're rooted in maybe anger or too much emotion. Make a declaration in power, in abundance, in love, and respect. Because when you make a declaration, you're saying, I'm no longer standing for this, and now I'm standing for this, right? And I think we need to really empower the agent. It's all about empowering the agent. And the irony is the more you empower the agent, if you're a brokerage, the more you empower yourself. What? Why are you laughing?
Read my name.
You change your name.
Yeah.
In case you think I'm impressed you even knew how to change the name.
You like it?
Oh, I got one back for you. Here we go.
And one of his declarations is never stop laughing. Oh God. You see the meanness I have to deal with.
Are you kidding? We still got to talk about the market. Oh man, share the drugs. Share the drugs. Oh, that's funny.
It
I wonder
is.
if they could even see that. Oh yeah, they can. They can see it. All right. So let's so we're all gonna have a new thought. You're gonna be thinking about us two idiots laughing when you're thinking of Declaration of Independence this weekend. All right, let's talk about the market. I was listening to something yesterday on Millionaire Listing LA. And a lot of it's super cheesy, but I'm not going to take credit for this. Josh Altman, who I'm not a fan of, because he's a little bit too much of a hustler for me sometimes. But I'm not ready to take it back. I do like him, but he's a little bit. If he was my agent, I'd be like, all right, let's keep you centered, buddy. Anyway, he said we don't list homes, we sell homes, which I loved. So here I am being contradictory because I'm like, yeah, whatever. But I love the confidence in it, but I love the mindset in it, right? Like, I'm not taking a listing. That's like something that may or may not happen. I'm going to sell your home, right? And the reason why I wanted to be part of the market update is because we belabor the point, and I know we did this yesterday on the broker roundtable, of how important it is to have the conversation with a seller of where it should be listed, right? And how it's not about just getting sellers to lower their price. But here's the thing. If a house is listed at 425 and the seller is like, I know it should be listed at 399, but I want to give it a shot at 425. The reality is most buyers don't have the cojones to make an offer at 380 or 375 when it's listed at 425. So you're inadvertently preventing people from making offers because they just make up these, you know how much I love the mindset, Pops, but they make up these stories like, well, shit, if they're at 425, there's no way they're going to take an offer at 380. So I'm not even going to write it. Whereas really the seller's just giving it a shot at 425, but because it's not at 399, he lost that offer and boom, they're gone somewhere else. It's like the prettiest girl in the room and no one's got the guts to ask her out because she looks too much like a 10. She almost has to like make herself look less attractive in order for people to ask her out. And we know this is the truth, right? So are you staying with me on this or no?
I am.
So when you list a home, it's so incumbent, like it's the easy way out, which is not so easy, is to be like, your house isn't selling because it's priced too high. It's always price. Sellers don't want to hear that. Listing agents don't want to have that conversation. But if you say, listen, we gave it a shot at the unicorn price. The unicorn price is maybe there's one unicorn that isn't a fallacy that will end up buying your house at that price, no appraisal, and pay cash. That's the unicorn. And as an agent, you never say this will never sell for this price because you got to be careful. A unicorn may come galloping in and make you look like an idiot, right? But right? Am I wrong? So I remember betting one of our agents. I said, "Hey, hey, I got my daughter yelling at me saying unicorns are an idiot." I lost a bet with an agent saying, I'll bet my left arm that house won't sell at that price. But in came the galloping unicorn. Remember Lisa Holmquist?
Yeah.
And boom, I put my foot in it. But when the unicorn doesn't happen in the first couple of weeks, you got to get it down. Even if you have to create a market. And what creating a market is, Pops?
Go ahead. What's your interpretation?
That's his answer for what he doesn't know what creating a market. great handoff. Hey, don't get lunch without me. I'll be done soon. No, I don't want payway. Forget it.
He just had the cookie. Now he's telling his wife, don't get lunch without me. Go ahead.
So creating a market is this. It's okay. It's 425. And then by the time we get to 399, we lost a lot of momentum and a lot of people who are willing to make an offer on the house, right? We're getting a little staleness on the house, on the listing, because listen, it's like a 40-year-old man without, I'm not even gonna pick on women today, I'll pick on men. It's like a 40-year-old man who has not been married and has no kids yet. You start saying, even if it's the best guy and he just had bad luck with relationships, you start going, what's wrong with him? Why isn't he with somebody, right? Same thing with houses. The longer they stay on the market, people start going, why hasn't that house sold? So then you have to reposition it. So even though it may still be worth $399, you may have to list it at $379 to create a new market, which when you list it at $379, people go, wow, action, energy, and offers. And because you're now creating a market, you may be able to go from the $379 and get them up to $385 or $390. I've seen people create the market on a listing. Angie just did it, where it was $525 listed. She took the listing, put it at $499, and they ended up selling it for $515. Does that make sense? Creating the market as he's texting. Folks, we had him for almost a full hour. Time to go. Time to go. All right. So that's the market. So as far as market updates, it is hot, right, Pops? You want to give just a quick market update?
Yeah, I'll give a quick one. So available home sales, single family I only deal with, is 5192. So we're still above, say, St. Patty's Day, March 17, where we had like 4,500, and contingent pending is 4,310. So an in escrow for anyone on that's not a realtor is 4,310. So basically, after the coronavirus, what has happened, our inventory had gone up, now going down again. And we have about as many homes in escrow before then, which is the rush to buy homes after the coronavirus. That's my fast update.
And we can't predict the future. We're definitely going to see some ups and downs with the coronavirus. We're going to see some ups and downs with the government. To say that we know what's going to happen would be foolish, because even if we know what happens, they change one rule to CFPB and lending requirements, and then we have to recalibrate again. What I do know is the market's hot. Showings on every single listing, from ones in our office of 2.5 million all the way down to 250,000. If you're not getting showings and you're not getting offers, it's time to have the I don't list houses, I sell houses conversation, and strike it while the iron is hot. We don't know how wide the window is open right now. We don't, but we know the window's open. So jump through, get houses in escrow. If you're buying or selling, now's the time, especially if you're in Vegas. Median price, even at our highest, the median price is so low compared to the rest of the nation. And rates, I don't know if we'll ever see rates like this again, ever.
I've never seen rates in my 43 years of this slowness, in 43 years.
Under 3, they're giving away money. Under 3 means you're beating inflation.
They're giving away, give it away now.
All right. With that, RHCP, for those of you in the know, we are just going to leave with this, Pops. Leave them better than you found them. Thanks for showing up, and that's all we got for you.
Bye, guys.
Take care.